A new profile, a sharper chin, a face that seems to outmaneuver time, but somewhere between the surgeon's light and the Hollywood spotlight, the boundary between refining and erasing grows perilously faint. Today, we're exposing 10 startling makeovers that pushed far past that boundary. Accounts of celebrity, expectation, and the irreversible price of pursuing an image that may never have truly existed. These aren't simple cautionary notes. They're warnings etched in incision lines and broken reflections. 1. Jocelyn Wildenstein. Jocelyn Wildenstein, once a poised New York socialite radiating quiet sophistication, later recognized across the globe as the emblem of surgical excess. Born in Switzerland, she wed billionaire art dealer Alec Wildenstein in 1978. For years, she floated through a world of privilege, attending elite events and amassing fine art. Her beauty was subtle, effortless. She didn't seek the spotlight, it found her. But the marriage began to fracture. Alec's rumored interest in younger women pushed Jocelyn into a spiral of insecurity. In a heartbreaking effort to reclaim his attention, she sought out cosmetic procedures. Reports suggest her aim was to mimic the feline features Alec adored. What followed was rapid and relentless. Repeated facelifts, altered eyelids, cheek enhancements, fuller lips. Every operation carried her further from the woman she once was. By the late 1990s, her appearance had shifted so dramatically that tabloids christened her Catwoman and the Bride of Wildenstein. The marriage still dissolved in a bitter and very public split. Today, Jocelyn remains mostly out of the public eye. She has stood by her decisions in interviews, claiming contentment, but the world remembers her through another lens, not for her art or her former grace, but for a face that became a spectacle. She didn't just lose her husband, she lost the image that once captivated everyone around her. 2. Janice Dickinson. Janice Dickinson is the woman who coined the word supermodel. During the 1970s and 80s, she dominated runways and magazine covers. Her striking bone structure, fierce confidence, and magnetic presence turned her into an icon, but time spares no one, and Janice refused to surrender to it. She approached cosmetic procedures with the same ferocity she brought to her career. Breast augmentation, facelifts, liposuction, Botox, fillers. The roster expanded with every era of her life. By the 2000s, her appearance had shifted so dramatically that longtime admirers struggled to identify her. The sharp lines that defined her face softened into something swollen, rounded, and artificial. She has spoken openly about her surgeries, often joking about the work she has had done. But beneath the humor lingers a quiet ache, a resistance to aging in a world built on youth. Janice stays bold, loud, and unapologetic, but the face that once shaped an entire generation of beauty standards is gone, replaced with something that feels more like a replica. She battled time, and time still triumphed. 3. Donatella Versace. Donatella Versace crafted an empire built on beauty, opulence, and flawlessness. After the devastating loss of her brother Gianni in 1997, she stepped into leadership of the Versace house. She became the embodiment of high fashion, commanding, striking, untouchable. But the burden of representing perfection began to leave marks. As the years passed, Donatella's appearance morphed significantly. Her lips became fuller, her skin drew tighter, her cheekbones sharpened in a way that looked almost sculpted by force. By the 2010s, her face became a worldwide subject not of admiration but of worry. She appeared pulled, overly altered, a creation shaped by the very industry she helped build. Donatella has never directly commented on her surgeries. She has no need to, her reflection reveals enough. She remains a powerhouse in fashion, respected and influential, but the woman who once embodied effortless Italian allure now resembles something more engineered, more restrained. The irony is chilling. She defined beauty for the world, yet could not escape the trap of pursuing it herself. 4. Amanda Lepore. Amanda Lepore did not transform out of vanity. She transformed because her survival depended on it. Born Armand Lepore, she knew from early childhood that the identity she had been given did not belong to her. As a teenager, she began hormone treatment. By her early 20s, she completed gender confirmation surgery, a brave act at a time when acceptance was scarce. But Amanda's evolution did not stop there. She rose within New York's nightlife scene, becoming a muse for artists, photographers, and designers. And as the years unfolded, so did the procedures. Cheek implants, rib modification, lip fillers that became more extreme extreme with each session. Her aim was not to simply look like herself, she wanted to become art, and in many ways, she accomplished exactly that. Amanda became an icon, a living installation, a person who challenged the boundaries of beauty and identity, but the recognition came with a cost. Her face, once known intimately by those close to her, shifted into something entirely new, something sculpted, curated, and increasingly distant from anything organic. She has appeared in films, music videos, and fashion imagery, yet remains a mystery, someone interpreted more often than understood. Amanda did not lose who she was. She reinvented herself so completely that the person she began as exists now only as a faint silhouette beneath layers of reinvention. 5. Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke was once Hollywood's untamed star. In the 1980s, films like Diner and 912 Weeks cemented him as a leading man. His rugged looks, piercing stare, and unfiltered magnetism made him stand out. He wasn't polished, he was authentic. Then he walked away from acting and entered the world of professional boxing. For 6 years, Rourke stepped into the ring and absorbed punishing blows that shattered his features. Broken nose, crushed cheekbones, torn lips. The injuries were devastating. When he tried to return to acting in the late 1990s, he sought reconstructive surgery to mend the damage, but the operations failed him. A flawed nose job, overdone facelifts, fillers that warped his once bold profile. By the early 2000s, Mickey Rourke looked like a different person entirely. The man who once embodied gritty masculinity appeared swollen, altered, trapped behind a face that barely moved. His career faltered, casting offers disappeared. It wasn't until The Wrestler in 2008 that he reclaimed his place, portraying a broken fighter that mirrored his own journey. Mickey has been candid about his remorse, often saying he wishes he had chosen wiser surgeons, but the harm had already taken hold. The face that once set him apart became the very reason he faded from view. 6. Pete Burns. Pete Burns didn't simply change his look, he turned it into a weapon. As the frontman of Dead or Alive, he dominated the 1980s with the hit You Spin Me Round. His gender-blurring style, theatrical presence, and fearless attitude made him unforgettable. But what began as artistry spiraled into fixation. Over nearly 30 years, Pete underwent close to 300 cosmetic procedures. Lip injections, cheek implants, facial reshaping. Each surgery was an attempt to refine what he believed to be his personal masterpiece. The consequences were disastrous. Failed operations caused infections. One surgeon used an experimental filler that left his lips grotesquely enlarged. He endured cycle after cycle of corrective procedures, each promising improvement but delivering more suffering. By the 2000s, Pete's appearance had transformed completely. The striking musician who once captivated audiences now appeared misshapen, buried beneath years of surgical damage. He never stopped defending his choices. In interviews, he remained unyielding, insisting his body was his canvas, but the physical toll could not be ignored. In 2016, Pete Burns passed away from sudden cardiac arrest at 57. His legacy extends beyond his music. It is the story of a man who altered himself so profoundly that the world could no longer see the person he once was. He became his own creation, and that creation overtook him. 7. Hang Myoku's story remains one of the most heartbreaking accounts in cosmetic surgery history. Once a striking model in South Korea, Hang became consumed by a fixation with altering her face in her 20s. She underwent countless procedures, each one feeding a need that only grew stronger. Eventually, doctors refused to continue operating. They recognized the dependency, they saw the danger ahead, so Hang tried to take control herself. Unable to pay for further treatments, she began injecting cooking oil into her face. She believed it would smooth her skin and enhance her features. Instead, it ruined them. Her face ballooned to shocking proportions. The oil hardened beneath her skin, forming rigid lumps and masses. The delicate features she once had disappeared beneath the damage. When she finally sought medical help, the harm was overwhelming. Surgeons removed 60 grams of foreign material from her face and 200 grams from her neck. She underwent multiple reconstructive procedures, but her face could never return to its former state. Hang's story stunned the world. It became a reminder of how addiction, even to beauty, can destroy everything. She now lives quietly, supported by family and small donations. But the face she altered in the pursuit of perfection will always carry the marks of despair. She didn't just lose her beauty, she lost the person she once knew. 8. Lara Flynn Boyle. Lara Flynn Boyle was everywhere in the 1990s. Her portrayal of Donna Hayward in Twin Peaks turned her into a cultural phenomenon. She was fragile, enigmatic, striking in a way that lingered. Then subtle changes began. At first barely noticeable, then suddenly unmistakable. By the mid-2000s, Laura's face looked entirely altered. Her lips appeared overly plumped, her cheeks seemed sunken, her eyes, once so expressive, looked pulled and distant. She rarely spoke about the shift, she never had to, but the difference was impossible to overlook. Roles dwindled, public sightings became infrequent. The woman who once held the camera's full attention seemed to slip into the background. Observers whispered about injections, lifts, and the crushing expectation to preserve youth in an industry that discards women as soon as age appears. Laura never confirmed any details, yet her silence said everything. She didn't just drift away from Hollywood, she faded from the face people remembered. 9. Melanie Griffith. Melanie Griffith was the charming girl next door with a bit of danger in her eyes. Working Girl launched her into stardom. Her smoky voice, mischievous warmth, and effortless beauty made her unforgettable. But Hollywood forgets aging women quickly. In her 40s, Melanie began with small enhancements. Some Botox, a facelift, lip injections, nothing dramatic at the beginning. Over the years though, the treatments built upon each other. Her lips grew noticeably larger, her expression stiffened. The inviting glow that once defined her smile became rigid, almost doll-like. By her 50s, she looked vastly different, not simply older, but transformed. More recently, she has let many procedures fade and spoken openly about the pressure to stay youthful and the regret that followed. But the effects remain. The actress who once charmed audiences became a symbol of how far the quest for eternal youth can go. 10. Courtney Cox. Courtney Cox was Monica Geller. She was Friends. For 10 years, she appeared in homes around the world, relatable, warm, and naturally beautiful. But once the show ended, the push to preserve that familiar face intensified. Courtney turned to fillers and Botox. What started as upkeep grew into something more intrusive. Her features tightened. The softness that made her expression so endearing began to harden into a mask-like appearance. Fans noticed. Critics remarked on it, and Courtney eventually paid attention. In 2017, she openly acknowledged she had gone too far. She dissolved the fillers and stepped back from the treatments. Slowly, her appearance returned to something closer to her natural look. It was a rare moment of candor in a business built on illusion. She appears healthier now than during the height of the overuse, but she will never fully resemble the Monica the world remembers. She did not lose herself entirely, but for a time, she came dangerously close. 10 faces, 10 journeys, 10 reminders. These are not tales of vanity or fragility. They are accounts of pressure, expectation, and a system that insists on flawlessness while offering no safety net when the pursuit collapses. Behind each transformed face stands a person, someone who believed that changing their appearance would unlock joy, acceptance, or a sense of control. But perfection is a mirage, and the chase often strips away the very qualities that made someone distinct in the first place. These are more than transformations. They are quiet messages from the far side of the reflection. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And join us for the next story, because behind every picture-perfect face lies a truth Hollywood would rather keep hidden.